Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kostuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Father's Day, and it's Sleep In Sunday. Sleep in, dads. Get your kids to bring you a cup of joe, a cup of hot chocolate, whatever you're drinking in the morning for tea. It is Sunday, and if you're listening to this on Facebook Live, guess what? We do this every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. It's a study of the classic literature of Bhakti Yoga, the Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses of depth, of fascinating stories, of heroes and villains and deep truths. It's a great book, and that's what we study every day. And we got a huge Zoom community that shows up and about 10,000 people that listen daily and download. That's hard to believe. Welcome, everybody. If you want to get those codes, Facebook people, you just email Nityananda over here, who's knitting in the background. Email her at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Good morning, Kostuba.
Good morning, Raghunath.
How's it going? Do we have announcements? We have what's going on?
Well, Mara's got some announcements, I think.
It's Q&A day. We just want to put that out there. We're doing a second day of Q&A because we're behind. It's a travel week this week. Me and Kostuba. Kostuba's going to England. I'm going to Croatia. We're going to hang out with some of our Zoomers there in Croatia. Always wanted to go to Croatia. It's been on my bucket list.
Now you're going to kick it.
Yeah. You know, I never knew bucket list was before you kick the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew GOAT was greatest of all time.
I'm the one.
I was just saying GOAT all the time. Oh, he's the GOAT. I was like, yeah, he's like a big, gnarly farm animal.
No, I'm the one that shared both of those with you, Raghunath.
I know, you've enlightened me. That's why I hang out with you. You and I have had some enlightening conversations privately lately, talking on the phone. Kostuba's crying to me. I'm there for him.
Was I?
Well, not really crying, like no tears come out of your skull, but you're sharing your heart, and then I'm sharing my heart to him, and you know what? He's there for me. He's there for me on FaceTime. He's reaching out his little pinky towards me. Here, I'm here. You need a pinky? I'm here. Grab a pinky. And so we've been having all I'm saying is I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you, and I appreciate yours, Raghunath.
Like when I got issues, I go to him, and I'm hoping he commiserates with my pain, and he doesn't. He'll say things like, you know what? This is what we train for. Letting go of that. Letting go of that. Don't embrace bitterness. Don't strike back. Right?
Yeah.
Tells me, you know what? This is time to. You can't be petty. If you're petty, you are under the clutches of material nature. That is the material nature. You show me, I'm going to show you. That's materialism right there. That's being bound up in the knots of the gunas, of the ropes of material energy. And then when he's crying, I say, come here, let me rest your bald head on my shoulder. I got you, kid. You cry on daddy's shoulder.
Just how many ways can you emasculate me? Let me count the ways.
It's not see, this is an issue you have, and I'm going to help you.
Okay.
It's not emasculating,
When you tell me I'm weak,
to cry.
when you tell me
Now,
I'm
you have a weak
delicate,
constitution.
what are
That's
you telling-
okay.
what are you trying to say here, Ragnar?
You can cry on my shoulder. I'm here for you, my love.
Okay.
I care. I care. All right.
I was
had
just worried. I'm just worried that when you try to emasculate me, that maybe it has some deeper issue in you.
Oh
That's
yeah,
coming
well,
out, and you're feeling you need to.
most
emasculate
likely. I just want to be. I want to
Let's
be
get
your
at
pillar.
that on today's show.
I want to be your pillar.
You
know what? You know who I want to give a shout out to?
to.
There's a good masculine figure in my life, and his name is Papa Tony.
Oh, Papa Tony.
Mara's
I met Papa
Mara's
Tony
father
a couple weeks ago, and I was really
yeah,
happy to.
Mara's father is solid like anything. He
Yeah.
takes me aside. He's 80 years old, incredibly wise. Takes me
He's
aside.
80 years old. He doesn't look
He's 80 years old, fit like a fiddle, the guy. And sharp like anything, and wise. He's not, because sometimes you can be old and sharp and be angry and bitter. He's not. He's actually quite wise, and he just puts me aside, talks to me like a son, and like instructs me. I really appreciate it. Son, let me tell you, here's what you got to watch out for. He shows me like sort of the ropes.
Does he call you that, son? Does he say it like that?
He doesn't call me son. He calls me Raghu. He's a real wise gentleman. But I was having some heavy realizations. I was going through it a little bit yesterday. You know why? If Father's Day.
To me.
Yeah, I know, but you don't understand these fatherly things because you're not a father.
I got things to say.
I know you do. I know you do, and that's why. But I was just maybe some fathers can hear this. Maybe some fathers can hear this. But for the longest time, I sort of was deeply wound with this feeling of like a desire for appreciation from kids, because you do sacrifice a lot. If you're a parent, you sacrifice for a lot for a kid. Things you've sacrificed, they will never remember. They won't even remember how much you sacrificed. And sometimes you can get a little bitter, actually, when there's no reciprocation in the love that you give. And a parent gives so much love
towards the kids, bitter towards God.
You become bitter towards the whole material existence. Like, oh, this nasty material world. No one appreciates how much I've done. And I get that. I get that on paper. But with kids, you get it more and more. And sometimes there is, like, for example, it's Father's Day. The kids are at my wife's house.
Okay, I sense a little bitterness right there.
Well, there was a little bitterness, but my ex-wife sent me a text message of Happy Father's Day.
Oh,
but Papa Tony's like, you know what? Expect nothing.
Oh,
I was like, expect nothing, and it's a great way to be. It's like it's Krishna consciousness. Expect no praise. Don't go looking for praise and appreciation, but go out and give appreciation. And so in this whole game of parenting or loving, period, if I'm doing it for a reason to get something back, I'm not quite yet purified. If I'm feeling, man, I didn't get the gratitude enough, that means there's some hole in the heart that I'm not filling that love and validation from my higher power, from my source. That's where you get your reciprocating love. Stop trying to find superior love in a material realm. It's not going to be there for you. If I'm not getting that love from the people I'm loving, then the only sadness I should feel in my heart is because they haven't got to this place, which is an important place of growth, of gratitude. I should feel sad, like they haven't got there yet. That is a big place to get to, which is, I'm grateful for the people in my life. And we say this and we play it and we play the grateful game. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. But I can relate to them. I was a teenager. I was a kid. It took me to have kids to start to appreciate my parents and how much they sacrificed. And it's sort of and I find that in Vaishnav or devotee or bhakti culture, that when a person expresses appreciation and gratitude, that is sort of the beginning of their evolution. Thank you so much for all you've given me, or thank you for that. And then as a teacher, as a parent, as a friend, as a lover, you're happy, not because you're getting praised or appreciated. You're happy, like, wow, they're filled with appreciation. They're evolving. This is a great sign. And then in my own mind, how can I appreciate more? How can I be more appreciative? That's where I'm at today.
Okay.
Good morning, Kostuba.
Do you want my question now?
What's your question?
You're saying expect nothing.
Okay, here goes. You're going to challenge that whole thing now?
Well, you can call it challenge. I'm just
No,
exploring
it's
it
okay.
with you. Exploring
Bring
it
it
with
up. Bring it on.
you. So, what about the idea that every human being needs some sort of validation?
Sure.
What about that kind of? That's a healthy, natural thing.
I think if you're first of all, I think if you're surrounding yourself with good people, it'll naturally come anyway. But that's what we shouldn't lean into
Don't make it your
our
motive.
huh?
Don't make it your motive.
Not only for our motive, but don't let that be your only source of fuel. The real fuel has to come from some higher source. Naturally, if you give enough love, and if that's your meditation, how can I give love today? You'll get love back.
Sometimes you have to be
Oftentimes, when people
patient,
say
though.
there's no love in my life, they're waiting for love without giving love first. Give love first.
Okay.
And don't be bitter if people can't. People are dented cans too. We're all dented cans in this world. And therefore, it's like you can't beat people up because they didn't love you the way you wanted to be loved. Expect little, give lots of love.
And be a little patient, I think, sometimes too, right?
And be a little patient and don't hold resentments.
Okay.
Simple ways to live life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You ready for the rest of the questions?
Yeah,
it's announcements, right?
We have announcements. A lot of people are coming for the Yoga Farms Day at the farm.
That's a whole new thing. It's easier than the Save a Weekend. It's just a farm stay.
It's a farm stay. You want to do Save a, we can help you. We can have you digging holes or something like that. But some people, they just want to chill out. They want a kirtan. They want association. They want some yoga. They want some Amara and Bobby's cooking. That's the thing. And also because it's during teacher training, what are the dates, Mara? July 13th to 28th. They don't have to stay for the whole thing. They just go for little pieces of it. And they just drop in whenever they can. And that's the new thing. If you're interested, email this lady, Wisdom of the Sages 108. Super Soul Trainings at gmail.com. Super Soul Trainings at gmail.com. So that's happening. And our teacher training's happening there.
Great.
Yeah. And Miss Mara's got some very, very relevant announcements.
Back to your recovery group meetings today. We have 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern time. And also it's the Urban Devi group from the Bhakti Center today meeting at 11 a.m. with Gopi Gita Devi Dasi.
You go to bhakticenter.org to find that. That's for the ladies.
Which Gopi Gita is this?
I don't know.
Oh, Gopi Gita, who wrote the leadership book.
Oh, right.
That's Gopi Gita. That's a great name, isn't it? If I have another kid.
Gopi Gita.
Gopi Gita gets the name.
You sound like you're quiet now, or like you're far away from the mic or something.
Check, 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 check. What happened?
That's better, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk. What do we got? Questions today?
We got questions. Are you reading them, or am I?
If Mara pulled them up, I'll read them. This is from Nitin. Nitin. I know Nitin, don't I? I just met him.
Do you?
Greetings, revered Prabhus. That was sweet. Prabhu means it's a if you don't know, it's a way of addressing someone as your master. And so it's just a show of affection. It's better than saying greetings, yo. Right? That's sort of like you're addressing someone. It's sort of a put down. A bit of a background as to the context of my query. I love it. The fact that he says query, it's like I like him even more. My father recently passed away, and I've come across some instruction that speaks of how the soul, while it can't see or hear, etc., can still feel. In particular, that the strong emotions of loved ones can potentially be painful for the departed, disembodied soul. My question is, does the soul really have feelings? It is said that the soul has the characteristic of the divine, Satchidananda. And since feelings are largely the product of the mind ego, then how can we ascribe that to the soul? This is a good one, huh?
Sure. Shall I get started? You okay?
Excuse me, sir. You want to try it?
Yeah. So let's get back to that. And since feelings are largely the product of the mind ego, then how can we ascribe that to the soul? The mind with its ego doesn't feel anything. Zero, zip, zilch, nada, nothing, because it's not
Nehi ji.
conscious, right?
Hmm.
It's matter. This is Bhagavad Gita, right? 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. What is it? Bhumir apalano vayu kangmanu buddhir evacha.
7-4.
7.4, where the different material elements are laid out, which includes the manas, which means the impulsive mind, the ahankara, the ego, as well as the buddhi, the reflective mind or the intellect. It says that these are all prakriti, the material energy. And then the next verse lays out aparayam mitastvan yam, prakritim vidhi me param. Right. So now we're going to talk about a different type of prakriti, different type of energy. Krishna saying, vidhi me, hear from me about this energy. It's param. It's superior. Why? And then he says, jiva bhutam. I'm speaking now about the jiva, about the soul. Right? And so why is the soul superior to the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego? Because it's conscious. It feels. The mind doesn't feel anything. But what I think what Nitin is bringing up here, he said, and since feelings are largely the product of the mind, ego, no, but feelings are colored by the mind and ego. It's the soul that feels, and the mind and ego are almost like a filter, with a tint on it, right? So it's the self, the soul that feels, and it feels through the mind, right? So it may feel happy according to the state of the mind. The self is feeling, and it may feel happiness because of the state of the mind. It may feel distress because of the state of the mind. That experience is being colored, shaped, warped, however you want to describe it, through the mind. But it's the self that feels, and only the self that feels, right? Now, there are two different basic fundamental schools of Vedanta, of this philosophy. One is saying that the self does nothing. It just has one generic feeling, and it's the mind. Varieties of feeling are produced by the mind, or let's say produced through the mind, right? In other words, the soul just feels peace. You could say the soul just feels some kind of generic bliss, and the mind will tint that, so I'm feeling that generic bliss feeling gets colored by distress, it gets colored by glee, it gets colored by whatever I'm having, whatever the state of the mind is. But we're from the Bhaktivedanta school, which is saying that actually the self doesn't need the mind to feel varieties of feeling. But we've adopted it's kind of like if I'm sitting here I am, and I can feel happiness, I can feel sadness, I can feel the whole range of feelings. And then if I put on goggles and enter into a virtual reality, that virtual reality will start to play with what I feel. But my feelings aren't dependent on the virtual reality. I can take those goggles off and still feel. That's what the Bhaktivedantins are saying, right? That we have the capacity for all different varieties of feelings, but we're playing around in a warped, artificial realm, which
So
is
how does
also
this deal with a
coloring our feelings.
deceased person? How do we take this
Well,
to the
the question
deceased?
wasn't so much about that. That was just the context, right? He shared that as a context, and then he said, "Does the soul have feelings?" That was the question,
Check.
right? And so, yes, the soul does feel. Only the soul feels. The mind does not feel a thing. That's my answer. Raghunath, why don't you share something about that too?
I was actually thinking of
How to contact the soul.
how to contact the disembodied spirit,
Okay.
because they're still embodied, but with a subtle body. And therefore, there is sometimes longing by the
Mhm.
person who's still immortal
Sure.
to the deceased, and vice versa. And that's the interesting idea of attachment. And so if I have a car, like some people are car people, really into cars or trucks. And so it's sort of like you have like this pride of your car that really take good care of it, polish it. You need to put special rims or special tires on the car, blacken out the windows, different mods you could do for your car. And then if some careless person comes up and parks too close to you, or opens their door in a parking lot and scratches your car, it's like you could like nothing major happened to you. Nothing at all happened to you, but something happened to your car. It chipped a little piece of paint and you can lose your mind. And it's not because you're hurt. It's because of that attachment you have for your vehicle. In the same sense, there is excruciating attachment we have while embodied and even disembodied for people, places, and things, right? Thus you get like a haunted house or a haunted, because the person is still attached to a house. The person is still attached to a being. Oh, I got a crazy story. I don't know if I should even tell this.
There we go.
But you have to, in order for people to even let go, for those, you have to lovingly let go so your deceased can move on also, or else you're keeping them almost too close.
Do you have some that are close to you?
No, I don't. I mean,
Okay, you guys said you had a story to tell us.
well, I did have a story, but it was a,
By the way, Raghunath, you
it was a
seem like-
story. Let me tell you the story.
Well,
I'm
just
gonna tell you
second.
the story, but I'm going to keep it super
No,
vague. and
this
you
is
don't
a
know who it
technical thing.
anyway.
I just want to say, it seems like you're holding your mic and moving it around a lot.
I am a little.
And we're
It's sorta
getting
like I'm
a
on
bit of a
stage.
choppy sound.
Okay, I'll play it.
And I don't know
Cool.
if that has to do with if your volume, if your gain is up too high too, that might be blowing out a bit, but I don't think it's helping moving the mic constantly.
Okay. Mara's in charge of that. I'm going to blame Mara. Shift all responsibility towards Mara. That's my message of the day.
Okay, now get up close to that mic, and now I think it would be better. Hit it. What's your story?
My story is I had a friend,
Yeah.
student, who was in a foreign country, and her sister was murdered while she was there.
Back home.
No. They were both kids on a family trip.
How old were they?
They were like teenagers, like 16 and 14 or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, really, really, really heavy. And she came to me after a class crying because I was talking about eternality of the soul. And she said, I didn't know what to do. And it was devastating for our whole family. And I was so attached to my sister, understandably. And then she said, then one day my sister came to me. I don't know if it was a ghost or an apparition or a dream or whatever it was. She said, everything's good. Please let me go. Everything's good. Please let me go. So sometimes we sort of, there's a difference between love and intense attachment and sort of not being able to integrate your, like, to come at peace with terms and things. And that mourning and that appreciation for what the person gave me, I think is like an important part of maybe mourning. Of course, the grief is going to be there, but there also has to be a sense of freeing that person as well.
I think you're answering the next question, Raghunath.
Am I?
Yeah. Why don't you hold on to all of that?
Okay, hold it. All right. So anyway, that's what I thought when they talked about the person who is leaving their body or the unembodied person. They have this attachment.
Everybody's saying they can't hear you now, Raghunath, like you're really low.
What?
I don't know if they need
Mara,
to
come
adjust
back.
their volume or
Did I
if
lose my volume?
I'm hearing you fine, but I turned up my mic a little bit. I turned up my speaker a little bit. You should just be at 3 o'clock. That's where we always had it.
I am at 3 o'clock. Why can't I? All right. Let's try it again. All right, go on to the next question then.
Okay.
You read.
All right. You ready? So this is a heavy question. We're a real it's going to talk about suicide, this question, which is just one of the most sensitive topics,
Sure. And it's very epidemic right now.
Is it?
Well, sure. I mean, after COVID, so many people were thoroughly depressed. Addicts became, people who were in recovery, went back to their drug of choice.
And you're saying that there's been a spike in suicides?
There's been a spike in suicides. And it's epidemic with kids, and kids are confused nowadays. Yeah.
Okay. So this is coming from Vanessa from Switzerland, who we know. And she writes, first of all, a warm thank you for your service. Your daily podcast is something I'm always looking forward to. It's helping and transforming me in many ways. I'm very grateful for all that you're doing. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, you with us, Raghu?
Yep.
Okay. What's going on over there, Mary?
Switching out the mic cords.
Is that mic cord getting old? Is that the problem?
We don't know. Just keep going.
Okay. I don't have a question for a clear-cut answer. I'm hoping for some Vedic guidance and insights from you. A few weeks ago, an ex-partner of hers decided to take his own life deliberately. We haven't been in touch for years, and it came to me as a shock. Bhakti gave me great orientation and comfort through the last weeks. It's amazing, isn't it? Sometimes when you go through something rough, it's like, oh, if I didn't know this stuff.
If I didn't know this stuff, you just spin out of control.
Where would I be?
At least, at the very least, even if you don't believe in this stuff, even it at least frames out tragedy to give a little bit more comfort to the soul or to the mind.
Yeah. So she's saying that she's got this orientation from it. I'm praying and chanting for his soul, and I deeply hope the best for him. But there are still some things that bother and sadden me. He struggled a lot. He struggled with a lot of things the last 2 years: depression, job loss, health issues, fear, and anxiety. His decision must have made sense to him to end that suffering and to find freedom. That illusion saddens me deeply. Also, the question of what will happen to his soul bothers me. Taking his life on his own terms seems to me like rejecting that great opportunity of a life in a human body to realize one's real nature and find God's sweet love. Isn't it a wasted chance? So that's one question. What will happen to him in his next life? Will he face those sufferings again? Maybe even in a heavier way? That's another question. While my life took different turns since we broke up, and I'm grateful for a caring partner practicing bhakti with me, I still care as a friend and someone who spent and shared fond memories with him. I'm grateful for all those experiences and learnings on his side. So I'm hoping and wishing the best for his soul and next life.
Well,
my humble gratitude for taking the time to read my mail and maybe discussing it on one of your Q&A shows. Also, I'm very looking forward to seeing you and the Wisdom of the Sages family in Italy again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Who's this from?
Vanessa from Switzerland.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Looking forward. That's a really heavy question, of course. And the concept of killing anything, animals, plants, humans, and of course, ourself, Atmahatya. Is that what it's called? Atmahatya. There are different types. No. Hatya is like there's Brahmana Hatya, Go Hatya. Have you ever heard this? The 9 types of killing.
Okay. I mean, there's also from the Ishopanishad, it says the Atmahana, the killer of the soul.
I think this is, anyway, but the point is, it is not considered a good thing to take your own life because your body's a gift. And it's everything you said, you're giving up your opportunity. So for ourselves, we take it very seriously. We don't want to do that for ourselves. As seeing it in other people to say, oh yeah, I've read in this book that this person is condemned now in their next life. Horrible way to look at it. Better way to look at it is, if I can become a great devotee and this person had some love and attachment for me, they will benefit. That's for sure. Everybody in my universe will benefit. Even the deceased will benefit. And you never know God's plan for that person. They might just had to burn off some karma. We never know what's going to happen to them, and we can't pretend like we have some crystal ball. And I don't think it's healthy to share some condemnation of a person who kills himself, because we never know the plan, or we never know the person's real intentions, and we never understand. You can never fully understand anybody else's karma, what to speak of your own. You can't understand your own, what to speak of someone else's. And so who knows what they had to go through, but we don't recommend it. We don't recommend it. We don't glorify it. We don't say that's a way of escaping problems, because we say we got to deal with our mind as well. And the mind is still there with the subtle body. So I think it's important to, keep the main thing, which is I have to worry about myself becoming very God conscious in this lifetime. There will be a ripple effect of everyone in my universe, even those who have auspicious or inauspicious lives. And yeah, did I miss part of the question, or was that it?
Well, some of the things that she brought out again were, if I can find them again, what will happen to him in his next life? Will he face those sufferings again, maybe even in a heavier way?
Yeah, we don't know. We can't speculate what'll happen. Maybe they just we can't understand God's plan for everybody. Sometimes you deal with people and you don't actually understand what's going on in their life also. And sometimes they and as important as this lifetime seems to us, I'm so important. I'm doing so many important things in this world. So many people we are just like a bubble in the ocean of eternality. And sometimes sometimes people just go through their life and leave their bodies, and it just helps them on an evolutionary path. And again, if they're connected with you and you're a very spiritually connected person, it will help them in the same way that if I associate with people that are very loving and very kind or very learned or very wise, that's going to help me also. So bhakti has that effect, whereas when we're connected with people, I know I'm connected with people in bhakti. I'm connected to you, Kastuba. My connection with you has always helped me. Huh?
Thank you.
It has. The other day I was a little angry. I called you up. I was like, you know what, Kastuba, I'm a little angry. And I was hoping he would say, yeah, you have every right to be angry. Yeah, that person. Look at that person.
But I said,
Instead, you're like,
go.
Raghu.
Let it
He
go.
sang "Let It Go" to me. He sang "Let It Go." He said, "You know what? We're not petty. We're Vaishnavas." I was like, "Yeah, we are." But
I didn't know you took it in. I thought it might have just went right. You didn't see.
no,
Sound like you're taking it in.
I heard you.
Okay.
You're saying "Let It Go." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let it go, but first I want to get back and straight back at them." And you're like, "Please, Raghu, I'm your friend." And that's what a real friend is. A real friend doesn't commiserate with your complaining, doesn't commiserate with your revenge, desires for spite. They actually say, these are so tiny, we act bigger. We gave love, we walk away. Boom, Kastuba, powerful.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghunath.
Jiva G wrote on the message board, was it me? Yes, it was you, Jiva G.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't Jiva G. Jiva G always thinks, have I offended you again? Because she does send pictures of me with my head cut out and Uncle Fester's body with my head put on top of it. So yes, I should be offended, but I'm not, Jiva G. I love you too much. That's the benefits of being on Zoom. You can write secret messages to each other during the course of the podcast. Okay, what's next, Mr. K? Special K, I call you.
Well, should I share anything on this one?
Oh, all right. If you feel like we got to go deeper into it, yes, please.
Well, you know, it is such a sensitive topic and such perhaps the most sensitive and saddest topics, you know?
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that can just, I think, especially for a parent, you know, if their child takes their own life, for any kind of loved one, you know, when it's someone that you love, someone takes their own life, how that just can almost
you can't even understand.
I mean, to say take the wind out of your sails doesn't do it justice, but you know, like in other words, it just must make your heart just completely crack, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, it's the duty of those representing these teachings to speak the truth. Sometimes even a truth that's not palatable, you know.
Oh my God, yes.
And so you've shared something, you know, yeah, it is, you know, certainly our texts say that this is a wasted opportunity, that the human life is special. And Prabhupada said a few things about suicide. And they say that he would say generally it's one of two things is the result, is that either you experience time as like a disembodied being, right? Which we would call a ghost. People would say like a ghost. In other words, you're conscious, but you don't have you spend some time without a body,
Mm.
Without
A purgatory of sorts.
Yeah.
Where,
Or he would say
where you got to sort of, you do time without a body
time.
because you've taken your body and you're not yet qualified to get another body.
Yeah. Or he would say that you go down to the end, because it's a tamasic self-destruction is, almost the definition of
You're
tamas.
not being comforting right now.
Well, I'm my point is it's not my job to be entirely comforting. But that being said, let's get to the comforting point. And this is the special thing, right?
Yeah.
It's when we zoom out a bit and think about our lives, in one sense, all of us, in the zoomed in perspective, when we're just like dealing with the day to day and the moment to moment grind of life, we're really saying, this is my friend, this is my enemy, this is comfortable, this is uncomfortable, this is, we're constantly caught up in the dualities of pleasure and pain. And that tends to cloud our vision. And the wiser person is zooming out, and looking at this big ocean that we're all bobbing up and down in, lifetime after lifetime. Or you could say, and we're all in that ocean together. We're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down. Sometimes we try to hold hands as we're going up and down in those waves with another.
Oh, that's a nice analogy. We're holding hands, bobbing up and down in the ocean.
That's essentially what we're doing. And sometimes you're trying to hold a hand of someone and they slip and they go down deeper.
Yeah.
And then you slip and then you're going down and they're coming back up. That is,
and it seems like the world is so real, isn't it? Seems like it's so real. Your apartment building, I'm looking at your apartment right now. That is dust. It was dust a moment ago. And a few years from now, they're going to tear it down and build some new thing with glass windows. It's like, it's, and there, you're just going to be a memory. You're going to be a memory. Oh, there was a guy named David Ramella that lived here. No one's going to remember you. I'll remember you. But the fact is, we are just so forgettable. It's like heartbreaking.
True. And it is so painful to watch another person experience pain, someone that you love, and you can't help them out of it. Even you try to speak to them, even you try to demonstrate your love for them, that cloud that's hanging over them, that they can't shake it, to the point where they feel like there's no hope in life. I can't stand waking up the next morning. I'm just going to end it. It's sad. But along with that zoomed out view, this is our faith. Now we're just talking faith here. I'm not going to provide for you any kind of scientific proof.
What's your faith, Prabhu?
But my faith is that Krishna, who's the controller of it all, loves each and every one of us that's bobbing up and down in that ocean. And he said, if you want to enter into that realm, you can, and there'll be a law of karma operating in that realm. Now go ahead and deal with it. You can butt your head against it if you want. You can try to cultivate good karma and try to enjoy that realm. If you want to do the best you can in that realm, go for it. It can get very dark, but it's very quick. So please come back to me. This is what I want. You're free to go there if you want, but please come back.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the first part. Now the second part is that it's not, in one sense, Krishna is immovable. But in another sense, he's like a toy in the hands of the one that loves him. Like Krishna is Oh God, there's a beautiful quote. I should try to pull it up. There's one quote from that Rupa Goswami includes in his collection of favorite verses, Padyavali. Maybe you could look this up while I'm talking, Raghunath.
Diavoli.
Well, you don't. You could.
Where's
I
our
could-
where's our
Mara?
Mara? Where's Mara?
Mara, there's computers
like-
sitting right there.
Sitting right over there. I got to
Mara.
put down my microphone. Come on,
Yeah, I
Mara.
need Raghunath here. Where's Mara? What's going
She's
on?
knitting Kelly Skinner's scarf.
There's
Padyavali.
a
She's
verse
on
from,
it.
There, here we go. All right. There's a verse from Padyavali where it says, the last line is that, oh God, I wish I knew, but is it how Krishna's moved by love? It's, I don't think I'm gonna be able to help you find it.
Okay.
Here's the point. Although he's the creator of the Himalaya mountains, uh, although in one sense, nothing can overpower him, he voluntarily is overpowered by love. And so for his devotee, he'll switch, he'll flip, he'll change things. There's that story about from Bhagavatam about Ashvatthama, who in a horrible, wicked way killed all the 5 sons of Draupadi in their sleep.
It's like the worst horror movie you could ever think of.
It's a terrible thing to do. Arjuna tells her, I'm going to capture him. I'm going to bring him to you. I'm going to sever his head. And when you after you do the funeral ceremony and perform this, you're supposed to take a bath at the conclusion of the funeral.
Right.
You'll take your bath standing on his head. Then Krishna's driving his chariot. They zoom off. Arjuna captures Ashvatthama, brings him back.
They bind him.
He's bound.
They bring him back to Draupadi on his knees with a sword to his neck.
And it's said that Krishna tells Arjuna,
Krishna's like, kill him.
He says, now you have to carry out your promise to Draupadi. Kill this man. Arjuna actually doesn't exactly listen to Krishna, right? He takes him back to Draupadi. Draupadi says, do not kill him, right? He's the son of my friend, I don't want her to have to, I just lost my sons. I don't want her to have to experience what I'm experiencing. So she says, don't. Yudhishthir hears this and says, I agree with Draupadi. Krishna says, you know what? I agree with Draupadi.
Oh, really? Krishna said I agree with. I thought Krishna said
kill him. She flipped him.
He flip-flopped. Krishna. By the way, some people, it's okay to flip-flop sometimes. You hear another side, and you're like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to change my mind.
Even Krishna.
If someone flip-flops in this world, we're like, oh, you flip-flopper? Big deal, you flip-flop. You're allowed to change your mind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Krishna is moved by the heart of Draupadi. He takes the other side. Then Bhima speaks up. Bhima's like, no, are you kidding me? We should kill him.
Bhima.
He's a murderer of children. He's like, he's like, and then Krishna turns to Arjuna and says, Arjuna, you have to satisfy everyone. You have to kill him and not kill him.
Yeah.
Somehow you have to satisfy. And then Krishna puts himself on Bhima's side. He says, you need to satisfy your wife Draupadi and your brother Yudhishthir. You also need to satisfy Bhima and me. So Krishna was like, kill him, don't kill him. He was like,
right.
The reason why I bring this up.
Well, first of all, tell him what happened. Finish the story.
Arjuna killed him and didn't kill him by killing his ego.
He cut off big chunks of his hair, like
cut
Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies.
Right.
He chopped a piece of his hair, cut off half of his mustache. Yeah. If I was Bhima, I was like, not good enough.
Well,
I would be like, not good enough.
Krishna accepted it.
Krishna accepted it, but Bhima probably didn't. He's like, big deal. He's going to grow his hair back.
Yes.
You think he's going to walk around with a half a mustache and like half a chop? He's going to grow it out, or he's going to shave his head.
He's going to grow it out. He's going to get right back where he was.
You learned no lesson.
No, actually,
you learned no lesson.
But for that warrior, it is a pain that he'll carry with him forever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. All that. Why am I talking about this?
Yeah. Why?
So the reason I'm talking about this is that, like I said, it's our duty to speak the truth and represent what, even if it's unpalatable, that the destination of someone who takes their own life, it's a dark destination. But the bright side is that Krishna is moved by the heart of the devotee. So that person that took their own life, they have a special, a uniquely, incredibly rare good fortune of being connected to someone who has a direct link to Krishna's heart, and that's you. You with me, Roger? You understand
Yeah.
where I'm going? You see, so
Yeah.
so you mentioned Vanessa mentioned that she said I forget exactly what she said, but I'm praying for him and I'm chanting for him and so on. I have complete faith that that soul is saying thank you, continue, please. You know, it's like it's the lifeline that they're holding on to.
Ooh, I like that. Well, there's all these rituals in
There are rituals that are there.
Hindu Vedic culture where you do some offering for your forefathers or a loved one who is deceased. And it's this like and again, the chanting the holy name goes right to the essence of that. And so the best thing we could do for the deceased is our own purification, and they're getting some lifeline.
Yeah.
I told you about the mystic, right?
Yeah. So it's
Yeah. Okay. It's okay.
It's sad.
Cork that mystical story. Sure.
It's it's sad. As well as Raghunat's saying, there within the Vedic literature, there are rituals that are prescribed for this. But in our day and age, we know what all the rituals are contained in that Maha Mantra, right? Or you know, your sincere prayers, you can pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, who just removes all fearful situations. You know, call upon the Lord in this way. Continue to pray, to continue to chant. You might want to do some kind of ritual where you get some kind of closure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you're like, okay, I did what I had to do. What I recommend to people. Recently, I had a friend who a loved one of their own was going through similar kind of challenges like that, and I said, I know what to do. I said, I said, I'm going to share something with you. It requires faith, what I'm saying, but I have a lot of faith in it. They said, okay, what is it? I said, you do puja. You do a certain word. You offer your prayer. You bring it before Lord Nrsimhadev in Mayapur, right? The this particular form of Krishna is well known to help those in distress in so many ways. And so there are ways that you can, and Vanessa, when we get together, we can help line this up for you if you like, that they do a special puja to Lord Nrsimhadev on behalf of this soul. And then you might feel a sense of closure. Okay, I feel like I've done something to help this person. So those things are there too. It's very sad, but there's a bright, there's a shining light of hope, and that's your own devotion to Krishna.
You are the jewel in the lotus.
You are the jewel in the lotus.
You are the jewel. Remember when I said, I know you were on a roll, and I butted in with a mystical story, and you sort of corked me and kept on going. the train kept on going, and while the dog was
I
barking.
I didn't catch it, Raghunath. I didn't consciously do that. Sorry.
I met the mystic in Haridwar,
Oh yeah.
who looked at me and just started telling me about. He said, "You've come here many times. You've bathed in the Ganges many times." He said, your father has passed away untimely. He said, every time you bathe in the Ganges, it affects your father.
Wow.
Yeah. Every time you come to these holy places,
and he didn't
your
know
father's
that his father had died untimely.
He told me that he told me my father had died.
You didn't tell
untimely.
him. He told you.
I didn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
He told me my father had died untimely, and that I've come here many times, and that it's always helping my father. And
that.
when my father died, my father died on Janmashtami.
Wow.
He died on the day I moved into the temple.
Day of Krishna's birth.
The day of Krishna's birth. And I had these reoccurring dreams of him as a sannyasi, as a swami, as a renunciate of my father. And my father was encouraging me on my spiritual path. It happened for like a year of reoccurring dreams of my father as a monk. And telling me I was on the right path, doing what I'm doing. And then I stopped having those dreams. And then maybe like, let's see, my son was 10, maybe like 8 years ago, I met this mystic in Haridwar who told me this. And then he get into this. It was very interesting. I won't get into it now, but he told me lots of interesting things.
I bet.
Alrighty.
Do we have time for one more? We're going to leave it here?
I don't think so. It's 57.
Okay, I'm going to see
Right.
if I can find this quote from the Padyavali real quick. I'm searching for it. I wish I...
It's a quote from the Padyavali.
Yeah. Just keep talking, Raghu. Share a little bit more about
Well,
Father's Day.
Well, people, tell people my father died untimely, and I think it's important to tell people that you love them for your benefit, not for their benefit necessarily, for your benefit. It's just so we appreciate the people that are in our lives, because you never know when they're going to die, when they're going to leave us, and maybe there's some things we want to say to them. So I think it's good to have those appreciate. We should have it's good to have a heart of appreciation for ourselves. And then it's nice for the people that hear that. It helps people want to give more. In general, if you're a parent, you've given a lot. You've given a lot. All right, guys.
Hold on. I think I know. I think I'm going to come up with it right now. Oh, you're doing that to me, are you? Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. This is it. Wisdom of the Sages. We do this every week. Got some changes coming up next week because we're traveling. But show tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody, joining us on Facebook. You can join us every day here on Zoom. Get the codes from Miss Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. Or you can join us wherever platform that you get podcasts on. If you like what we're doing, we're community support us. This subsists by the community. People give some monthly donation, whatever they like. And some people have been doing it for a long time. We appreciate that. We also say to them, I love you. Thank you very much. Double it. Thanks,
say that.
everybody.
You gotta stop saying that right now.
Why? Why not say double it?
No.
Why?
Because we're not here to push people like that.
I'm not pushing. I'm nudging. Nudging.
Saying double
Nudging
it
a
is
little.
not nudging.
Nudging. Yes.
What
Nudging
we
you
should do
now.
is we should double what we're offering people. On
Yeah,
Facebook.
we should double it. You double it, we'll double it. How about that?
Okay, that's good.
Anyway, thanks, Rudy, for joining us. Thanks, Miss Mara, for all your contribution. Thanks, Mr. Kostuba, for being a good friend. And thanks to all the Zoomers out there. Oh, yeah. Jiva G wrote in the light. Did you see her message? Love to you, Jiva G. She wrote that her sister also committed suicide.
Oh.
So lots of love to you, Jiva G. We love you and everything that you do for the Bhakti Recovery Group. Thanks to all our friends that we've met in this last year. These Zoomers and others have come out and meet us. Oh, look, Lady Sita put a picture of Lady Sita on the message board. That is great. Yvette Elizabeth put a picture of sweet Bal Gopal on her message board. And there is Chantel and Be Happy's little kid. It's Chantalini there. Rodhead. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who give a lot of love. It means a lot. Isn't he, dads? Krishna Balaji.